Lee Chong Wei is one of the best badminton players to have ever graced the sport. As the eternal rival and fierce competitor to Lin Dan, the two took the sport to a level that had never previously been seen before. And after an illustrious career spanning over 19 years, he announced his bittersweet retirement earlier this month.
I want to announce my retirement for the 19 years in BAM.
So in this video, we're going to take a look at 3 things Lee Chong Wei does that are responsible for his legendary status, because these are things that you can very easily start implementing into your own badminton game to separate yourself from the competition, no matter what your current skill level is. Now, the first thing that Lee Chong Wei does is to constantly push himself. That may sound obvious, but there's more to it than first appears. After all, every top player trains at an intensity that you would not believe. Yet, alongside with Lin Dan, the two players have clearly proven that they are at a distinct level above the competition. This is because of Lee Chong Wei's ability to get to a level that most players would consider to be a limit, and then somehow find a way to go that extra bit further. This is something he developed due to an incident at the start of his career.
I'll always remember that incident. I was supposed to make my debut at the All England, but I didn't go.
In 2002, Lee Chong Wei was set to make his professional debut at the prestigious All England tournament. As a young and starry-eyed badminton player, he was incredibly excited. The plan was to have a morning track training session in Malaysia and then fly off to England later that day. But Lee Chong Wei noticed a pain in his leg and told his coach, Misbun Sedek, that he was reluctant to train. Without batting an eyelid, Misbun turned to him and said, "In that case, you're not travelling with us tonight. Stay on the sidelines and watch the rest of the team train."
I thought he was joking with me, so I continued to run with the team anyway. He stopped me from running and told me I will not be getting on the plane. I started crying and pleaded with him because I wanted to participate in the All England.
Later that night, the rest of the team flew off to England, leaving Lee Chong Wei behind in what must have felt like a cruel twist of fate. In the span of a single day, he went from being on top of the world only to have it crash and burn in front of him. But being left devastated like that may have been one of the best things that happened in his career. It lit a fire of determination that has then burnt throughout the rest of his career. From that day on, he's pushed himself further in training than he'd ever otherwise be able to if it wasn't for such a bad memory.
Everything I do in badminton, either gym, jogging, I go all out.
The desire within him became hungrier than ever, and he would do anything to avoid being put in that situation again. Now, the next thing that's responsible for Lee Chong Wei's success is to always take things one step at a time. That means when he has a big goal or target, he always breaks it down into a set of smaller, attainable steps. So many of us tend to seek out the huge results immediately, but when we overstep and fail to achieve them, we start to feel angry at ourselves. This negative emotion leads to throwing in the towel and giving up. Lee Chong Wei, on the other hand, doesn't fall into this trap. After returning to the professional scene from an 8-month hiatus in 2015, his world ranking had dropped from number 1 all the way to number 183. At first, he looked at his ranking in utter disbelief. He couldn't fathom the idea of climbing back to the top 10. It seemed like an impossible mountain to climb. But his coach advised him to not think about getting back to the top 10. Instead, to only take it one step at a time by focusing on the competition at hand. As a result, Lee Chong Wei was able to regain a top 5 ranking in a mere 6 months, something that blew even his own expectations out of the water, as he had originally predicted it would take a lot longer. This shows that while it can be good to set yourself big, ambitious goals, if you don't break those goals down into smaller, intermediate steps, you could actually be doing yourself more harm than good. If you've ever felt overwhelmed at the idea of reaching your own badminton goals, whether that's playing at the same level as a player you look up to or winning a certain tournament, then you already know what this feels like. A great way to implement this mindset of taking things one step at a time is to take out a piece of paper and physically write down what your goal is. Then from there, work backwards and write down each of the intermediate steps needed to make that large goal a reality. It's important to actually get this down on paper and not overlook it as just a mental exercise. This creates a physical roadmap that's incredibly easy to follow, and it allows you to take things one step at a time without other thoughts overwhelming you. Now, that's not the only reason where Lee Chong Wei's ability to take things one step at a time came to his advantage. In the 2006 Malaysian Open, Lee Chong Wei clashed in the finals with Lin Dan, something that would later become one of the greatest rivalries in sports history. In the third set, Lin Dan held tournament point at 20-13 up, and it seemed like he would inevitably break the hearts of the Malaysian home crowd. Most players in this situation would be mentally broken. The idea of winning 7 straight points against Lin Dan, of all players, seems absolutely unfathomable. But Lee Chong Wei was unfazed. He knew that all he had to do was win 1 point, certainly something he could do. Then all he had to do was win the next point, and repeat this. See, he never focused on the score. Instead, he just took it one rally at a time and only thought about what he had to do in that very moment. By some miracle, this enabled Lee Chong Wei to pull off an incredible upset, coming back to win the match 23-21 and take home the trophy in front of his adoring home crowd in what must have felt like a moment straight out of a movie.
Dalam! Begitulah akhirnya! Kita biarkan Lee Chong Wei.
And that leads me nicely to my final point. Lee Chong Wei has learned to enjoy the game instead of only playing to win. When most of us go into a match where the stakes are high, we're consumed by a desire to win. Counterintuitively, this can actually be detrimental because you place yourself under a huge amount of pressure to win, which can negatively impact your performance. It's often been said that Lee Chong Wei tends to underperform at the big events. He would perform solidly all season, but for the really major events like the World Championships or the Olympics, he would crumble under the pressure. Lin Dan almost always came out on top in these high-stakes situations, and this is something that Lee Chong Wei acknowledges himself. He says that part of the reason Lin Dan is able to consistently triumph in these high-stakes situations is because Lin Dan is under less pressure than he is. If Lin Dan loses, China still have strong contenders in all 4 of the other disciplines who can still take home a gold medal. Lee Chong Wei, on the other hand, has to carry the whole weight of Malaysia on his shoulders. He's often the only Malaysian player who makes it to the finals in major events, so he feels like the entire country is relying on him. The pressure of having an entire country watching you is so intensely huge, and this affects Lee Chong Wei's game. So when you step on court, even if it's at a tournament that you really want to win, don't get overly obsessed about the results. Especially if you're a player who tends to crumble under pressure, think of the match as a game, not a competition. Because when you're enjoying yourself, you unlock the ability to perform at your maximum potential, something that can often be suppressed when there's too much pressure on you. Since adopting this mindset, Lee Chong Wei started to perform extremely well. By playing to win for himself and enjoying the sport, the weight of Malaysia's hopes were lifted from his shoulders and he won multiple Super Series events. But it was only later that year, at the 2016 Rio Olympics, where he would be fully tested. At this point, he had already lost to Lin Dan in back-to-back Olympic finals and was mostly written off as a player who chokes under pressure. But this time, he was entering the tournament with a fresh perspective. The 2 players clashed in the semi-finals. In the third and deciding game, it looked like history was about to repeat itself. Lee Chong Wei had a lead, but after Lin Dan mounted a mini comeback and clutched out an absolutely crucial rally, it looked like Lee Chong Wei was about to choke again. But unlike all the previous occasions where he crumbled under the pressure, this time, Lee Chong Wei was able to persevere.
He's done it! Lee Chong Wei of Malaysia has beaten his nemesis.
In the finals, Lee Chong Wei then faced off against another top Chinese badminton player, Chen Long. This was his last Olympic appearance and unfortunately, he was not able to pull off a win. Lee Chong Wei had hoped to compete in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics as one final chance to secure a gold medal, but fate appeared to have different plans. Lee Chong Wei was afflicted with health issues, and even though he won a battle with cancer, he was forced to hang up his shoes and retire from the sport. It certainly wasn't an easy decision. Lee Chong Wei has had such an illustrious career spanning over 19 years, and yet he still never achieved his life's dream. But even though an Olympic gold medal always eluded him, it's clear that he cemented his legacy as one of the greatest athletes to ever grace the sport. He gave us a decade of unforgettable showdowns with Lin Dan. He was ranked world #1 for an incredible 199 weeks straight and walks away from the sport with 69 titles to his name. But most importantly, he inspired a generation of badminton players with his work ethic, positive attitude and fighter spirit. So the next time you step on court, let these lessons from Lee Chong Wei be passed down to you and use them to honour his legacy. Also guys, I've spent a lot of time analysing Lee Chong Wei's smash, and I use that to put together a free smash training guide for you. So if you want to smash more like Lee Chong Wei and the pro players, then you'll definitely want to check this out, as it will have a huge impact on your badminton smash. To get access, click on the link in the description below and you'll be taken to a page where you can get instant access. Also, if you want to see more badminton content like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. My upload schedule has been rocky at best recently, and when you're not uploading regularly, the YouTube algorithm punishes you by not recommending your videos even to subscribers. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on these new uploads, make sure to hit the bell icon below and you'll get a notification each time a video goes live. Thanks for watching, guys. Congratulations to Lee Chong Wei for having such an amazing badminton career, and I'll see all of you in the next video.